Welcome back to the Flashpoint podcast, a Southgate Media Group podcast dedicated to the hit, and I do mean hit, CW show, The Flash, starring Grant Gustin and Jesse L. Martin. I am Lilith, and joining me, as always, is my lovely co-host, Kelly.
Hey.
This is like a bittersweet moment because, yeah, I do kind of need a break to fan wank and theory craft.
But I don't want it to be over.
Yes, exactly. I don't want it to be over. But we can keep the party going, Kelly, because we have a really super cool summer event again this year. Bigger and better. I've dubbed it the Flash Film Fiesta. I like alliteration. It's a side effect of reading too many comics.
That's a good thing.
It is. I have Stan Lee fever, as they say. Flash Film Fiesta is a live watch and win sweepstakes, basically. Each week we're going to watch a movie or a TV episode featuring a cast member of The Flash. So I'll have links in case you guys don't have the movie or the episode. And you guys basically just fill out a form and send in an email. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook. But yeah, the finale was called Fast Enough. It's episode 123.
It went too fast.
It literally did.
I didn't want it to end.
Me neither. And it went 2.5 minutes over, right?
Yeah.
Well, the story was by Greg Berlanti and Andrew Kressberg. Andrew Kressberg also live tweeted with us during the episode. The teleplay was by Gabrielle Stanton and Andrew Kressberg. We had Dermot Downs as the director. I was a little shocked. I thought that they might either call David Nutter or John Behring in, but I thought that Dermot Downs did a pretty good job. There were some unusual shots that I didn't really know what they were about at times. But yeah, other than that, I thought it was a pretty good, solid job all around. We had a ton of guest stars. Victor Gerber as Dr. Martin Stein, Wentworth Miller in like a micro cameo as Leonard Snart / Captain Cold. We had Matt Lesher as Eeyore Thawne, aka the real Reverse Flash. Robbie Amell as Ronnie Raymond, Michelle Harrison as Nora Allen. We had a wild Patrick Spongé as Captain David Singh at the end too for no reason. We had Sierra Renee as Kendra Saunders, who will be playing Hawkgirl in DC's Legends of Tomorrow. And of course, Papa Allen, aka Henry Allen, aka the ship that sails this show, John Wesley Shipp. Really, honestly, like, I just, like, even when he's not there, he's still there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Definitely.
I hope we get to see him next season. Kelly, do you know anything? Can you share anything?
You'd
assume so.
I would assume, but, I don't have any official word to confirm or deny. I'm sure I'll find out eventually.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, this was a really, really freaking good episode, but I do have my problems with it. Mainly just because, I don't know, I felt like there was very little build-up to the finale. And then it leaves on this weird cliffhanger that is literally only meant for, like, fan wanking and theory crafting.
Oh, and the poor people who are, I can't think what you call them, Eddie Irish shippers.
Oh, I don't even know. Was that even a thing in our fandom? Honestly, Tumblr, Queen of Tumblr, don't know the name of the ship for Iris and Eddie. Test?
Edis?
I just want to say that, damn it, Flash, you got me. You Tommied me. Didn't this feel like the Tommy death from season 1 of Arrow? Spoiler
Yeah, alert? Very much so. But I think, well, his body did disappear, so there is hope.
Yeah, there's always hope. I mean, it's a comic book show. Nobody stays dead.
I would love to see him getting the bad guys in a different reality.
I'd like to see, like, if we're going to do the multiverse theory, then I want him to travel to a different, like, Earth every season. And one season, Eddie is the Flash in one of those universes.
That would be cool.
I might write the fic for it. So stay tuned to thatflashpodcast.tumblr.com this summer. It might be a work in progress. So let's get started with the synopsis, and then we can dig into this recap.
All right. Wells presents Barry with a life-changing choice. Dr. Martin Stein and Ronnie Raymond return to help the Star Labs team with this final fight.
Like I said, Andrew Kressberg live tweeted with us, and he kind of gave us a lot of insight into this episode. And he said he literally didn't know how to start the episode. I mean, it's the finale. And he goes, I know, let's do a somber monologue. A cold open somber monologue. And I freaking loved it.
Loved it. Yes.
But, you know, most of that is due to Cow on the Wall, aka Blake Neely, the composer for the show.
Yeah. Very much so.
It just set the tone, like the tone for the first half of the episode, put it to you that way.
Yeah.
So such a simple, stripped down choice. I didn't even expect it.
It was so elegant. I mean, really, you look at the bells and whistles that a lot of shows try to pull out, and here we go back to the basics.
Yeah, it really was. And Barry's like walking down into the particle accelerator to talk to Dr. Wells, and so like Wells is just so forthcoming, and Wells is like, he pulls the iRobot moment, you're not asking the right questions. And it's just this weird situation. And then Wells makes this Faustinian deal with Barry.
Yeah. And you're like, wait a minute, is he doing another Oliver again? He's making another bad choice.
I don't know that it's a bad choice, though. I think it's a neutral choice.
Well, it could be. The only problem is there are so many variables and there are so many possibilities of things that could go wrong. I mean, what would have happened had his dad been erased? Or he never met Iris? Or...
See, that's the fun. Like I said, I don't. That's why I think it's a neutral choice for me, because yeah, every little choice changes something. You know what I mean? But
the butterfly effect.
One choice doesn't make it, good or bad. You know what I mean?
Right.
I think that it's always Barry's destiny to become a Flash, and so that will never change. So that evens out the all the bad that might happen from the changes that he makes, because he's always going to be a Flash. That's just his destiny, no matter what. So for me, it always evens out, which makes it a neutral choice for me.
You want Barry to be happy, but it brings up the question. If you could change one thing in your life, would you do it?
And then that leads to the thing that Henry talks about, but that might change who you are on a fundamental level.
Right. It's the whole butterfly effect.
Yeah. So I like that scene. Like, Tom Cavanaugh has just taken this dark. He just turns this dark magic on it. It's just crazy watching him just revel in this.
Yeah, and it's so crazy after watching him in so many other things.
Yeah, especially Ed, which we're going to be watching. The best episode of Ed ever. We're going to be watching this summer. So
I didn't watch Ed. So
yeah, because this is a dramatic role, in all honesty. And I've known him for comedic roles. I listened to his podcast, Snack Time, with his bestie, who he met on Ed, Ian Michael Black. So, like, to see him, like, when he started off as Dr. Wells, is just kind of this arrogant, snooty know-it-all. And then to see just this dark turn is just amazing. And I believe I'm just going to quote you from one of our other podcasts. Yes, Tom Cavanaugh is a multifaceted gem. I agree.
Yes, he is.
So, fangirl and gushing. We cut to Dr. Stein, who's going over the risk with Barry actually going back in time, and Barry's waiting.
The voice of reason.
Yes. See, we need him.
Yes, we do. Well, because Ronnie is the voice of impulse.
Not to be confused with Bart Allen, Barry's grandson.
And Dr. Stein is the voice of reason, and that's why they have to, get together as Firestorm so they can make good choices, Yeah,
they definitely balance.
Yes.
He asked Joe, he's weighing it out, and Joe actually throws his support behind Barry, but, he's not really firm in his convictions, and he wants to leave before, Barry can see that, but Barry kind of follows him out, and, Joe just wants him to have the good life that he was meant to have.
Well, he wants to support Barry, and he knows that that's what Barry's wanted all this time, and he tries to put on a confident front for Barry, so it's easier for him. And I feel bad for him, because all parents go through this. Sometimes you gotta kind of fudge it to give your kids the confidence to spread their wings and fly out of the nest, and that's just a really hard spot.
Yeah, and so, Barry's going around and asking all these other people, and so finally he decides to, he goes to see his dad, and he's expecting his dad to get behind him just like, Joe did, but Henry's like, no.
Yeah.
Just the opposite, and that scene was such a heartbreaker.
Oh, yeah.
Their scenes are always so good, and they've only, touched twice. series so far. Like, just with glass between them for the most part.
You know when the word slugger comes out. Get out the Kleenexes.
Barry's talking about having them being a family again, and Henry's just like, I know your mom wouldn't want to change what makes you you. Just
the look that goes back and forth between them in that instant, just oh my goodness.
So back at Star Labs, Ronnie reveals to Caden that he and Dr. Stein are back in town for good, and he definitely wants to still get married. Okay. Back at Jader's, Barry contemplates on the roof, and of course, Iris has found him.
In my jacket.
Yeah. Iris stole Kelly's jacket again. So he's thinking about the consequences, because now Joe has told him to do it, and his dad has told him don't do it. So he goes, Iris, can you help me make this decision? And she basically says, no.
Yeah.
You have to do what you have to do for you. Only you can make this decision. And they kind of get into, what if you never came to live with us? How would that change you? And then Barry says, living with them, he doesn't really want to change it. But then at the same time, living with them made it hard for him to admit how he felt to Iris. And now he feels like he's too late. And I'm like, oh, we're having this conversation again.
Yeah. And the fastest man alive was too late.
I know.
Yeah. You notice that everybody in his life, the reasons, if you've noticed that the reasons they give him, you think about it. Joe wants him to do it because it'll be good for him, and he thinks that's what he wants. His dad, even though it would be better for him if Barry did it, he wants what's best for Barry. Everybody loves him so much that they just want what's best for him.
Except for Cisco. He wants what's best for him, but at the same time, he's also kind of the mini voice of Reezy, even though it comes off as like being a little bratty and petulant. He does kind of have a point.
Well, but he cares, and he's afraid for Barry. So he has Barry's best interest in heart, too. He doesn't want to see anything bad happen to Barry.
Yeah, that's a good point to bring up. So then, this is crazy. So he's made up his mind. He's going to do it. And then Barry goes to see Dr. Wells to ask how it all works. And I love it. He's just like, all right, he's like, that took longer than I thought it would, but I knew you were going to do it.
A whole hour longer.
So it turns out what they have to do is use the particle accelerator, but instead of 2 particles, they're going to use 1, which Barry will collide with and punch a hole through the fabric of reality, opening up this time to infinite times, which makes me think of Crisis on Infinite Earths, which I don't want to talk about.
Did the time machine kind of remind you of Spock's little thing that he goes back in time in?
No.
It kind of reminded
me of the actual time sphere. Sorry. That's the actual real thing.
Or one of those little hamster balls.
Yes, that's more apropos. There is a catch. If he fails, he'll die. So, for Wells, it's kind of a win-win situation. So, yeah, Dr. Stein re-explains the science for the audience members not paying attention. And Cisco starts to question why Barry would even consider it. Stein reveals that Barry would have to travel at Mach 2 speeds. If you don't know what Mach 2 speed is, it's 1,500 miles per hour, which doesn't seem that fast considering what Barry does. I'm just saying.
Well, but, consider how Barry had to run, what was it, 400 miles an hour or something like that before? And remember how it took him time to work up to that? He's gotten quite a bit faster.
Well, he also wasn't believing in himself at those particular times. And it's all these people behind him. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So, agreed.
Yeah. I think that's the only reason why I find it funny because, kind of sort of it's implied that emotion is kind of tied into the Speed Force and how you use it and stuff. So
Right. Well, and even the one where Wells is explaining to him how he had to feel it and everything to go through the wall,
Yeah.
Very much implied.
So for me, it's just weird. Like his heart should be bursting with all this love and support at this point, which is actually why I think he's so capable of doing it. At this particular point,
yeah.
Barry reveals to Cisco the second part of the deal, helping Wells go home. And wouldn't you know it, Wells has the blueprints, and of course he has been squirreling away supplies for his time machine.
Of course,
he's the man with the plan.
Well, he's had how many years to plan it?
14, 15 or so. Thank goodness he's not a procrastinator. I mean, for me, I'd be like, well, I would have just waited till 2020, honestly, and I'd enjoy my big belly burgers if there were no cows in my home world.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just saying. There's a problem. The tungsten is going to cause some kind of dust that's flammable. So thank you, Ronnie. I appreciate that they make it known that Ronnie's not just a pretty face. So yeah, Cisco kind of walks down and tries to get some advice from Wells. Dr. Wells tells Cisco how to fix the problem. And then Cisco, just because he's been holding it in this whole time, goes, yeah, you killed me in an alternate timeline.
Yep. Well, he's got to let that out.
Yeah.
Because that's been weighing on him for a long time, and he's kept it to himself, mostly.
Wells apologizes not for killing him, of course, because obviously he had a good reason for it, but because he...
Of course.
So this is the big bombshell confirmation that Cisco was affected the night of the particle accelerator explosion, and that he meant it as a gift out of love, and that when Cisco realizes his destiny, he wants him to remember who gave it to him. I find this really interesting that they're using vibe this way. That's his power, but it's kind of a little different in the comic books, obviously. And I kind of want Cisco to be more of a tech hero like Ray Palmer, because they're really cool OCPs that I want to see again.
Yes. We need some disco too.
Definitely. He might make disco. He might make him a toy next season since he's getting a alias concealment situation.
Yes.
So who knows? We might get that disco moment.
Woohoo!
So anyway, Dr. Stein continues to make calculations, and it's weird because Eddie's just standing around. I'm just why is Eddie even here?
Well, because he'd been kidnapped, and they know he's important because Wells had him. But they don't know why he's important.
Yeah, exactly. Whatever. I mean, not that I don't love Eddie, and I don't love, and of course I love Rick Cosmic, but it just, I don't know, he felt shoehorned in at that particular point.
You think about it, he's like the third wheel, because he understands there has to be a reason that Wells kidnapped him, right? But they don't know what it is, and everybody else is doing all the science, and he's just kind of like, whatever, I'm just gonna, what else can I do? I'm gonna stand around here and watch, because he doesn't know what to do. He's no scientist.
Yeah. I like I said, just felt shoehorned, but I was like, okay. And so then Dr. Stein kind of comes up with convenient plot point is convenient, sorry. Coincidence. And he talks about
no
how
such
science
thing.
can't account for it, and he's an anomaly.
That's true. He is very definitely an anomaly.
The wild card, if you will.
Well, what is that? What was the thing from Sesame Street?
Stein tells Eddie that he's the only person basically that gets to choose his own future. A computer begins to beep loudly, and then he's like, of course Wells didn't tell us everything. We got a situation. Colliding with the particle could create a black hole that could destroy the planet, nay, the universe. So the group gangs up on Dr. Wells, and he's like, you gotta trust me. Really, the stuff?
Yeah, sure. We'll trust you as far as we can throw you.
So yeah. And he's like, I've been planning this for decades. I want to go home, and it'll all work out. But there is something that I do need to tell you. Barry will have just under a minute and 52 seconds, because of course.
Of course, a minute and 52 seconds.
They had to get it in there.
Yep.
So Barry and Joe chat in the room with the cosmic treadmill. Joe kind of admits his parental faux pas.
Yes.
About what Barry should do. And he goes, I figured you needed to have total confidence to pull it off. You've been dreaming about this your entire life, and now you can do it. And then he says, I always wanted to do it, but I never thought it would mean losing another parent. But then Joe goes, oh, you won't lose me. It's just like, oh my God, you guys are ripping my freaking heart out. Dude, that was a seriously wicked good scene. I couldn't even... had to pause for a moment. Across town, Eddie goes to see Iris at Central City Picture News and tells her the story of his canceled date with Katie Rogers. How that led to him arresting the mugger that took her bag. And I remember how we always said how he just showed up and was so convenient.
Yes.
That was crazy that they actually, you know what I mean?
Thank you for listening.
I swear, right? The power that coincidence convinces him that, that he wants to screw the future, and Iris agrees. And then we cut to Ronnie and Caitlin getting married in front of Star Labs.
Oh, wait a minute. Go back. The scene with Eddie, I'm convinced he had made up his mind at that point.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, I kind of agree. And, I don't know. It's if Eddie stays dead, it'll definitely be more of a Tommy situation where I'm bitter about it. Even if but the only difference between that and Tommy is that, he actually died a hero, Eddie actually died it.
And he chose to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
To remove himself from the equation so he could remove Dr. Eobard.
Right there, another instance of the Flash just being kind of a little bit better than Arrow.
Yeah. Well, I'm hoping, like I said, that he returns on in an alternate universe to.
I like that as just like a cameo or like a mention.
Yeah.
I don't know that I want Ray Cosby around, but like I said, the plot has to drive the characters. The characters can't drive the plot. You know what I mean? Like, we have a situation on Arrow where it's just like. So yeah, I mean, if it makes story sense wise, I'm glad to have him back, but don't just do it to please the fans, even if it is something.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is kind of also a weird scene again because we see Caitlin and Ronnie, and then we see Iris and Eddie, and everybody seems to be really happy at this moment, and it makes Barry well, maybe I can be happy now too. Now that I've seen everybody be happy, you know.
The look from Barry was kind of weird.
Well, he looks over and he sees Iris and Eddie.
It's true.
Apparently it's time now. We've gotten all the filler out of the way. Everyone offers Barry support as he prepares to make the trip. He and Joe share a super sweet moment where they call each other dad and son. Iris kisses him on the forehead, and at that moment I'm jealous of Grant Gustin, but whatever. And then Barry goes inside and Wells delivers his Run Barry Run line. And boy does he, and he gets faster and faster, and Barry connects with the Speed Force and begins to see moments from all throughout time, including himself as a kid, Caitlin as the villain Killer Frost, a statue of him in front of the Flash Museum, and then finally the moment we get some floaty coffee because tachyons are bouncing, and boom, they eject the particle, Barry collides with it, and the wormhole is created. Start the timer. So anyway, Barry appears in his own room 15 years ago. Then he hears the kerfuffle going on. He watches from another room as his mother screams, and the reverse Flash and the other Flash from 2024 battle. Future Barry tosses the reverse Flash out a window. Then he actually holds his hand and shakes his head at present Barry, saying, "Don't do it," as he whisks away little Barry. Now that right there was the most shocking and surprising moment of the whole damn finale.
Yes.
I was like, say what, come again?
Now, does that mean that he's done this previously?
How many timelines are there?
Yeah, I know, that's what I'm saying. Does that mean, because he tells him not to, that he's done this before?
You probably don't watch Family Guy, do you?
No.
I actually tend to like the Stewie and Brian episodes because Stewie does a lot of time travel. And there's this episode called Back to the Pilot where they make all these different changes, and finally, the last iteration of them has to, go back to the beginning from where the other person, the last, you know what I mean? They have to go right back to the very start and stop that set of actions. And he yells at everybody to stop what the hell they're doing and just get back on your time pads and leave and don't ever come back. That's what Barry did that. That's what it made me think of. You just Google that on YouTube. Back to the
I shall.
Yeah. You'll see what I mean. And so that moment was crazy. And so he kind of just lets it happen, and he cries, and then he goes to comfort her.
By the way, I called that.
You totally did. I was a little bit bummed that he didn't save her. I mean, I get why he didn't, but I was a little bummed.
Yeah.
Because I want a pocket universe where we can have more of John Wesley Shipp, and we can have more of Mama Allen and little baby Barry, and they're happy. That's all I want. I just want that young family to be happy.
Yes. Maybe in another alternate universe they already are because he warned him off.
One can hope, and maybe they'll show us that. So he goes to comfort her. He takes off his mask, and he goes, "I know this is going to sound crazy, but I'm Barry." And she's like, "You look just like my dad." And I was like, "No, don't do this."
Tears were falling.
I'm like, just whisk her to the hospital.
And you know, these are the last 8 minutes that we were warned about.
Dies in his arms, and then we cut back to the president, and the clock is counting down, and it's time to send Dr. Wells away. So like Cisco and Joe are down there. Joe's got his gun, and then he gets into the little time sphere. Cisco's like, "Don't ever come back," and I'm like, "Yeah, right." And then Dr. Wells says, "Hey, this is a really good looking time machine. Rip Hunter himself would be proud. You know, the time traveler that's going to be the main guy from DC Legends of Tomorrow, played by Arthur Durrell. Yeah.
Rory the Roman, sure."
The wormhole spits out a silver helmet with little gold wings. The very helmet worn by my favorite Flash, Jay, from the comics anyway, Jay Garrick. And then when Cisco asks what it is, Wells is like, "Oh, it's my cue to go." Wells closes the time sphere and prepares to go home. But dude, like a bat out of hell, Barry comes with his fist and destroys the machine. And then he freaks out and goes, "Why didn't you save your mother? You could have had everything you wanted." And Barry's like, "I already do." And I'm like, Wells pulls down his mask and is on like Donkey Kong for a speedster throwdown. So, Dr. Stein warns the others to cut the generators in order to stop the black hole. Ronnie and Caitlin go down to do so, but Ronnie gets zapped in the process. But Caitlin is able to close it in time, quote unquote. The Reverse Flash pins Barry down and tells him he's going to kill everyone after he kills him because he always wins. And then another really like shocking moment, even though I totally called it, I didn't think they would have the balls to go through with it because Rick Cosmo's such a fan favorite. Eddie takes his own life, and keyboard starts to blink out of existence,
which was awesome.
Eddie says he died a hero after all, and all he ever wanted was to be Iris's hero. And as Eddie dies, the Reverse Flash begins to break away into dust, but a wormhole opens up, and I don't think it was the actual wormhole from the generator, the particle accelerator. The more that I think about it, I think they literally ripped a hole in time because of what Eddie did.
Yeah. The paradox, yeah. That was what I got from it, too.
That's crazy. So Barry carries Cisco and Joe and Iris out, and Iris doesn't want to leave Eddie, but it kind of becomes a moot point because Eddie gets sucked up into that damn thing.
Yeah, but that could be a good thing.
I definitely think it's a good thing. Even if we don't see him back again till season 3, you know what I mean? It leaves that door open.
Glimmer of hope.
That's all a fangirl needs, man.
That's right.
So the black hole continues to grow and hovers over Central City, pulling up concrete and buildings and probably citizens. And then
sounds like a tornado to me.
Exactly.
A time tornado. That's it.
It is a time tornado. I like that. We coined it. Hashtag time tornado. So it's kind of weird because we see Captain Cold. We see Captain Singh for no reason, right? Like, is he gonna secretly be on the spinoff or something?
I don't know.
Because we see Henry Allen going, "Oh damn, what'd you do, Barry?"
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, and then we see the girl who's gonna be playing Hawk Girl. Dr. Stein reveals that they can disrupt the motion of the singularity by traveling in reverse, aka pulling a Superman. Barry's a hero, and he's gonna take on this challenge without a second thought. He races up. And he leaps directly into the hole. And that's where the story ends. And it's going to be a crazy season 2. It's going to be a long summer of fan wanking and theory crafting for me. So please be sure to tune into the blog and the Twitter.
So many thoughts on where this could go.
So what did you get for the theme of this episode?
For me, it was very much as a question for Barry of, would you change your life if you could do it? It was almost a question to the viewer. You know, if you had the opportunity to change something in your life, go back in time and change something in your life, would you do it?
Yeah, for me, they said it right in the episode, screw the future. I mean that on so many levels, but honestly, that's what I got out of it, you know?
Time tornado. That is exactly what it was.
And I like that. I like that they said that in the episode. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, this, like I said, Barry is the Flash is the perfect character to do a story about time travel because of the Speed Force, and you don't have to have all this weird timey-wimey, spacey-wacy stuff that's kind of, for me, I feel like Doctor Who's a little hard to conceptualize unless you, like, you know what I mean? You have to be really into it and pay attention.
Yes.
This is kind of a little bit easier to digest for me.
Right. It's kind of like time travel light.
Yes, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I actually mean that in a good way.
Right.
It's more accessible to the everyday person that's not necessarily like a super uber sci-fi fantasy.
Yeah, it's not nearly as cerebral, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, you need a little fun and entertainment every so often, you know?
I think it will, like, slowly as the series develops, it will probably get deeper and deeper, because we did have Dr. Stein around to explain the basics. Even though I will say the hugest thing that I got really upset with is that Caitlin didn't know what a singularity was.
Yeah, and that's pretty crazy.
Out of all the people they could have said, you know, they could have had Joe ask, what's a singularity? I don't know. That was the one thing, if I had to nitpick, that I was just like, you can do what you want to Felicity, but if you touch my precious Caitlin. Anyway, I want to talk about who the MVP of this episode was.
Hello, Grant. Wow. He had to do so much in this episode, and he had to do it with so much heart, and he delivered 120%.
I agree with John that he should. This is the episode they should submit for Emmy nominations. Just saying.
Yes, absolutely concur.
If we're talking aces for acting, definitely Grant Gustin. If we're talking characters, for me it's Eddie Thawne all the way.
Yes.
Excellent way for the character to go out. I do feel like he was kind of underdeveloped, but probably intentional. Unfortunately, I do believe we're going to see Rick Cosman again in a different iteration of Eddie Thawne. So whenever that happens, I'll be really happy. But I thought Eddie for me, I didn't think they were going to go there.
I'm glad they did.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But I just didn't think they were going to go there.
Hence the shock factor. That was good. We needed that.
I thought that they were going to be different than Arrow and not have anybody die in season 1. And then just kill a bunch of people come opening of season 2 because of the time. Honestly, like, that would have been way more shocking than that everybody talking the next day after that finale. I mean, the premiere. So, I mean, just because The Flash is so different, you know? They do a lot of different things on The Flash. So, we knew it was getting a season 2 practically since the day that it premiered.
We called it from the day it premiered. Actually, from before when it premiered.
And I just want to shout out the Flash family, all you speedsters out there, because the week before's episode, that was the penultimate episode, which wasn't as great as the finale, beat out Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. season 2 finale.
That's fantastic.
And they also did it the week before, so shout out. I mean, we're on the CW. Not everybody gets the CW, and we're beating Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. that's on ABC.
That is just incredible.
So I'm just so proud of us. What would you give this as a grade?
I don't think I could give it anything other than an A. It was incredible. I mean, I loved it.
I'm going to give it an A-.
Okay.
Definitely. Still deserves to be an A. There was a big gaping plot hole. We all know what it is.
Yeah.
We don't talk about it. And I don't want to get into it. Maybe over the summer I might. But it was a really good one. I liked it well enough. It gave me shocks. It made me cry on several occasions. And when I rewatched it, it was just as powerful. What was the best scene for you?
It was tough because there were so many good ones. The ones that tugged on my heartstrings the most were the ones between his two dads, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Between Barry and his dad. I mean, just... I always end up on a puddle of goo on the floor, you know? It's just so amazing that they're able to portray that relationship so genuinely. And that gets me every time.
I agree. I just love how they're kind of... Sometimes, most of the time, they're actually on the same page. They just kind of word it differently. But this time, they were kind of like on the opposite ends. But at the core of it, they just wanted what, like you said, what was best for Barry. It was just really beautiful. I just kind of love that tug and pull of those relationships, and how ever since Joe has found out that Henry was innocent, kind of how that friendship is starting to form up too. And I want to see a future world where they're just two dudes raising Barry and Iris. I really didn't have a favorite line because all the dialogue was so good. All the speeches to Barry were so great that I just it's not fair to choose for me. Do you want to single anything out?
For me, though, I gotta say the most shocking moment was when we're watching Barry in the room and he tells himself no.
Yes. I literally was like, wait, what? We're going to have to find the story out behind that.
Yeah, because I'm thinking, oh, crap, because that means he's been here before.
How many times?
Exactly. How many times has he been here before?
I want to see what the world's like when if he didn't stop him. Apparently, though, the Flash with the white symbol. You know what I mean? I want to see what universe he comes from, what the consequences of maybe him possibly saving his mother was.
Yes.
There were so many Easter eggs, but I want to talk about when Barry was in the Speed Force. We see a picture of him in a prison uniform, Iron Heights prison uniform, and he's in handcuffs too. And it's Henry that is actually on the other side of the glass talking to him.
Yes.
Now, do you think that that's something for season 2 we might see?
2 or 3. I think I'm hoping that sometime during season 2, Henry will get freed, kind of join the team, which would be awesome. Can you imagine John Wesley Shipp as a season regular?
Yes, actually, it's all I've ever wanted since the day this damn show was announced.
Exactly. I mean, that would be really cool. We need Tina too, of course, but
Yep. Mercury Labs is buying Star Labs. I'm calling it now.
Or merging.
Oh, we got so many possibilities for season 2. I'm emotionally drained in a good way though this time. They're starting the Flash from the beginning this Tuesday, May 26th.
So all your friends that haven't seen it, there's a way to get them hooked.
Well, that just about does it for us. Let's do some shameless plugs and get on out of here.
Sounds like a plan. You can find me on Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, and anywhere else that really matters at Super Squint. That's SuperSquint. You can read me over at voiceoftv.com. And you can also listen to me on Before the Bat, the Gotham podcast with Phil and Tyler, and of course on Queen Consolidated with the lovely Miss Lilith.
You can find me on Twitter at Lilith Hellfire. You can find me on Tumblr, LilithFairyHellfire.tumblr.com. Please be sure to check out my blog, littlepopculturevulture.blogspot.com. And if you guys have some free time, please feel free to rate and review us over on iTunes, and remember to
download, because streaming doesn't count.
And while you're there, type in Southgate Media Group. That's the podcast network that we belong to. They have a network provider page, which only like 50 or so podcast networks actually have. And it will give you a list of all the cool podcasts and trending episodes that are going on our network right now. But if you don't see anything that tickles your fancy, you can head over to www.southgatemediagroup.com and check out the full list of podcasts, which is 80 plus and growing every single day, it feels like. Blogs, you can find out about the hosts and other miscellaneous things. So yeah, it'll be October 5th before you know it.
But we'll be here all summer doing fun stuff.
Definitely. Rules for the Watch and Win Sweepstakes is up on the Tumblr, which you can find at thatflashpodcast.tumblr.com. It's also on the Facebook. Go into the search bar, type in the Flashpoint podcast. We should pop right up for you. We need a couple more likes to get to 25 so that we can officially be facebook.com/the Flashpoint podcast. So please do that as soon as possible. And our email is flashpoint.smg@gmail.com. So feel free to reach out to us, and we will be back with a roundtable, a Super Friends roundtable. It's going to be really interesting. We're going to be doing a couple of roundtables. We're going to do the Flash, the Arrow, and Gotham for sure. Maybe Constantine together. iZombies is actually shaping up to be an all-ladies panel. So I'm really excited for the summer roundtable series. So yeah, keep tuning in this summer. We're not going anywhere. So definitely check out the feed for a new episode because
we'll be back in the Flash.